Hey, everybody. Good morning. I'm Julie Roginski here with Michelle Kinney and Jeff Jarvis to talk to you about what happened in the media this week. There's a lot. Yeah, but the big breaking news, aside from the fact that Jeff is joining us from Austria today, is that Jeff, Netflix seems to have stepped and bigfooted over the Ellisons for now, because it still has to go through regulatory approval, which means that Trump could always get involved. But for now, it looks like Netflix is carving up Warner Brothers Discovery, purchasing just the streaming and film assets, and leaving the desiccated carcass of CNN. They're also taking HBO, by the way, the good stuff, and leaving the desiccated carcass of CNN to be spun off into its own thing. Unless somebody else wants to acquire it, which I'm not sure anybody would want to. What do you make of all this? What does this mean?
There's so much here. I hope the Ellisons lose. That's the most important thing, is to not have them get their hands on CNN, though that could still happen in another way. Number one. Number two, I wonder whether this is the maturity, in a bad sense of the word, of Netflix. Netflix, which changed itself more than once in life. It was red envelopes, then it became online, then it became the streaming king, and it's really been good. So I worked back at Time Inc. in the day, and I started the magazine Entertainment Weekly, and my reward was some restricted shares, which came due during the Warner merger at a very high point. I'm complaining here for a moment. And so over time, especially with the AOL merger, my fuck you money said, fuck you, Jeff. And it was Warner Brothers and its various affiliates have cooties. So I fear a little bit for Netflix here that they're taking on the old world. They're taking on an old studio when they replaced the old studios. They're taking on the old movie model when they replaced that. They're taking on more streaming when streaming still is not a clear model. However, I'm happy that so far it's not the Ellisons. As you say, to repeat this word into a new joke, now CNN is spun off into Cootie Corp, and who knows what can happen. Versant could try to take it over. We could have the cable news, but I don't think that'll happen because of antitrust. And then otherwise, CNN is still vulnerable to some horrible jerk out there with enough money to take over the remnants, to take over Discover. And so I think they should still be nervous at CNN, and we should still be nervous for them. But any defeat of the Ellisons in the short term makes me at least grin. What do you both think?
I mean, look, if I'm Elon, do I buy CNN for song? Right? Think about that, right? And then you have a merger of Twitter, X, whatever he's calling it now, and CNN, and or I guess the Ellisons could still acquire CNN.
Yes, they could.
Because for them, that's nothing.
It's cheaper now.
Yeah, it's chump change. And then you still have situations like you have, which we'll talk about in a moment, Barry Weiss, who has moved very quickly to bring an incredibly, she had never been MAGA before, but she has moved very quickly to elevate MAGA voices tremendously at CNN, whether it is trying to bring over Fox News personalities, to CBS, whether it's trying to bring over Fox News personalities.
So you can tell the difference. It's okay.
Freudian.
It's Fox News and Fox News Annex soon.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Or whether she's trying to elevate Erika Kirk, which we'll talk about in a moment. But, merging that with CNN would be a complete disaster for CNN, to the extent that anybody still watches it, and fewer people, I believe, will watch it if that happens. But why not? If you are the Ellisons or you're, even Bezos might want to try to do some sort of vertical with the Washington Post, because none of these people are in it for any reason other than to suck up to Trump.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
It's there to be a propaganda organ. Michelle, what do you think?
Well, so Julie and I were on air doing the morning show when this news broke. So I didn't even know about it. So I haven't even had too much time to process it. So that I understand it. So is Netflix, from a creative standpoint, right? Because I'm always I feel like I'm a consumer of these things sometimes before I'm thinking about the business or the, American democracy ramifications of it. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean for Netflix? What are they going to have? Are they going to have DC Comics? Are they going to have like what's going to be under their umbrella? And Julie, you said that HBO is staying with it or something, right?
Yes.
So like that's good. You know, and you know, I think about Netflix, you know, creatively pushing the envelope in terms of like content and the things that we consume and the shows that we watch, and it's put movie stars on the small screen, and I think all of that's like really exciting. But whenever the merger is going to stop, like I feel like every week there's like a new merger or like a new this company is going to this company and that person and this person. You said something about antitrust. Now, being a person, I don't really know too much about the laws or the boundaries here, but like, is there a line at which this is going to stop? Like the companies are going to stop eating each other in media? Because I feel like at one point there's just going to be one left and they're going to own all the things. And it's very confusing. And you also wonder, like, as a consumer, like, well, where do I put my dollars? If I care about the health of democracy or the future of the country, where do I put my money? Who do I subscribe to? Who do I unsubscribe from? And those are questions, I mean, I feel like I personally have to investigate, but perhaps you know right off the bat, you know, who are the good guys and who are the bad guys in the situation, or maybe they're both. I don't know.
I think you raised the right questions, because what I think we're actually witnessing here is the huddling together of dinosaurs against the cold wind of the future. And we saw that with newspapers, right? Where merger after merger, debt brought up like crazy, and the result was they all became vulnerable to hedge funds, and they're all being killed.
Yeah.
And so I think the same is true here. I think Washington Post or New York Times had a feature last week, the 10 top movies to see this Christmas season, and 9 out of 10 were complete crap.
Yeah.
Hollywood is dead. Hollywood is nothing but sequels. And so what worries me is that this only exacerbates that. Oh, we've got these franchises. Let's go milk these franchises. Netflix creatively, culturally, was at least an alternative to dead Hollywood. It was a creative outlet to create new things.
Right.
And now if it owns, and I was there when Time Inc., where I was, became Time Warner. And the buzzword of the time was synergy. Synergy. And you had to do things together. We had to do the online from Time Inc. had to be Roadrunner after I left, and other things like that.
Roadrunner, wow, yeah.
The reason that I left, the reason that my magazine, Entertainment Weekly, started, naive me, was that the Time Inc. bosses wanted to give an offering to Hollywood and say, look, we have a magazine about showbiz. Stupid me as the editor thinking this was going to be okay. It was not. I had editors there who our conceit at EW was to grade entertainment, and they did grade point averages of our critics saying we were too tough on Hollywood because Time Inc. was now Hollywood with Warner Brothers. So synergy becomes this horrible weight upon creativity. And so Netflix, wasn't perfect. I think it's pretty dark, but it was at least an creative alternative.
Yeah.
And so I think we lose that. So the answer to your question finally is, do they keep merging and merging and merging? Yes, I think they do. Step one. And then step two is the debt load will be killing, because the revenue is not going to be there, because big old Hollywood is dying, which means that a lot of it will go to private equity and hedge funds and money.
BlackRock
who have, oh wow, I own a piece of Hollywood now. And it's going to be a further diminution of American culture, I think.
But I think what worries me about this, Jeff, and we touched on it a little bit before, is when you're a small cog in a much more important wheel, right? Those people have bigger priorities. And I'll use an example, if we want to move on for a second, of what's going on with the Washington Post. Yeah. The Washington Post, when it existed in a sui generis era.
May it rest in peace.
Yeah, may it rest in peace, exactly. Was an incredible newspaper which broke incredibly important stories. Today, it is owned by Jeff Bezos. And because it is owned by Jeff Bezos, it is running it is running headlines like this. And these are real headlines from this last week in the Washington Post. Headline 1 was, "Why you may not want lower prices as much as you think you do." On Tuesday, it followed that headline up with, actually, today's food prices are a bargain. And you might think, is the Washington, what is going on here?
These are not the droids you're looking for.
They're not the droids you're looking for, but you're wondering, why is the Washington Post writing these stories until you remember, oh, that's right, Jeff Bezos is the largest single shareholder in Whole Foods, which was, otherwise known as Whole Paycheck even before.
Right, I was just going to say that, yeah.
And so why you may not think that your food is that expensive, why expensive food actually may be good for you. Well, if I'm at Whole Foods, that's exactly the narrative I want to put out. Why, my $27 vegan burger is something you might want to buy.
Well, and you hear my political experts and geniuses know how the Democrats got in trouble by not acknowledging the pain that existed at the cash register.
Yeah.
And so now, and media took them to task for it. And now here's the Washington Post doing the exact same thing, acting as if, well, you little people, it really doesn't matter, you're fine.
But I think the larger point of what I was getting at is that, it is now just a small cog in a much bigger wheel. Yeah. And it is much more important for Jeff Bezos to suck up, well, in this case, it's more important for him to sell, whatever Whole Foods is selling. But most of the time, it is more important for him for his business reasons that have nothing to do whatsoever with the Washington Post to suck up to Donald Trump, which is why they keep running stories like this that effectively are mirroring Donald Trump saying inflation doesn't exist, affordability is a hoax.
Affordability is a hoax. That's exactly right, Julie.
So my point about then going back to Netflix and going back to the acquisition of all of these different modules is that, if you were running Entertainment Weekly, which by the way, I was a subscriber to.
I was too. I love that magazine.
I had very little money in college, but
so rest in peace. But
rest in peace. I had very little money, but I always subscribed to Entertainment Weekly. Love the gossip. Thank you for that. But when you ran Entertainment Weekly, presumably you started it because you wanted to talk about entertainment. And then imagine if the Entertainment Weekly was weaponized so that whoever, because Time Inc. had bigger priorities and they were going to run stories that were hatchet jobs and the people that were either helping those priorities or hurting those priorities.
Yes.
That's what's happening now. And that's what's happening in the Washington Post. That's now definitely what's happening with CBS. I mean, CBS, you've got Barry Weiss, who runs CBS. God the hell knows why, other than for reasons like this. Platforming Erika Kirk, right? The widow of Charlie Kirk. And, not just platforming her, but this is the home I want to. We say this is the home of Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite, and I know it's kind of trite to say, but it is the home of Edward R. Murrow, Walter Cronkite in 60 Minutes, and Bob Simon, and all these other great reporters. And this is what Barry Weiss said, and I would love to get both of your reactions to this when she announced that they are going to run a primetime town hall featuring Kirk.
Oh my God.
Where Erika Kirk will take questions from evangelicals and religious and political leaders while she's being interviewed by Barry Weiss. It will be shown at 8 p.m. Eastern. She's giving her a primetime slot on CBS, preempting the Family Film and TV Awards. They're literally blowing up programming to do this, to work around Erika Kirk's schedule, I guess. And in announcing this is what Barry Weiss said. Like so many people around the world, I will never forget the moment that Erika Kirk forgave her husband's killer.
Oh.
I am eager to speak to her and thrilled to be doing so in front of a group of Americans who I know will elevate the discussion. Your reactions, please.
I want to go back to what you said a second ago, Julie. I think one of the problems here is, the House of Murrow, the House of Cronkite, this wonderful thing. It was just a news organization, just a media company. It was elevated too much in our egotistical view of ourselves in media. So it became a bigger prize to get.
Right.
So it became, this prime thing I get my hands on, and then I can do this with it and manipulate it. And it made it only more valuable and only more of a target. This is terrible. It's bad enough that Barry Weiss was going to ruin the already banal evening news. It's bad enough that she was going to ruin the already downhill 60 Minutes. But now she's clearly using the entire network as a propaganda arm. Mm-hmm. And don't we know, we've talked about it on the show before, about how entertainment, and this goes back to the theme of today, entertainment back in the day could have been and was a vehicle for progressive views, for gay marriage, for tolerance, for education, for other values of old time society now gone. And so now what we're seeing is Barry Weiss and the right wing, and she is right wing, damn it. It's not center, are using these old and dying but still powerful institutions for their propaganda. They're completely devalued. And in the long run, I dance on the grave of CBS. I dance on the grave of mass media. I await what my students replace it with. But between here and there, chaos and disaster. And we're entering that time of chaos and disaster.
Michelle?
Well, Erika Kirk is a performance artist, and she is a ridiculous person who I cannot believe is being platformed, but unfortunately not surprised. And for her to say, I'll never forget when she came. Okay, I was just looking for the clip. I have it somewhere on my laptop. But if you remember, she walked down on stage with pyrotechnics on the stage, and she waited for the crescendo in the music to put her head up. The whole thing was ridiculous. And then she had her tissue that she always has where she pats her face and says, I forgive you. The whole thing is so ridiculous. And we know that. I think a lot of people believe that. But like, why? Why is it that on CNN or, and other networks, there is an equal opportunity for the earth is flat, the earth is round. But when Erika Kirk is going to go on a primetime, town hall on CBS, she's taking questions from evangelicals, but not from
you and me,
from us, from agnostic or otherwise, anyone who's not an evangelical. Why are there not two sides, I guess, that are being given an equal opportunity to ask questions from someone who is sitting at the helm of TPUSA, which is the huge youth arm of a far-right white nationalist MAGA movement in this country that is dismantling the idea of democracy. She is Serena Waterford. For anybody who has watched The Handmaid's Tale or read the book, she is all of the things, because here's the thing is she has leaned on all of the progress that women have fought for decades, centuries, to get educated, to travel. Because I'm like, Erika Kirk, who's watching your children while you're touring around the country telling the rest of the women how they should be living their lives and they need to submit to their husbands and not wait to have children. And this,
although she didn't have children until she was in her 30s.
Exactly. But, yeah. She is the Phyllis Schlafly of this time. And she is being platformed and lifted up by Barry Weiss. And the whole thing, it's just, it makes me so angry because now somebody like Erika Kirk is straddling the two worlds, right? She has the digital world in which they, own, the right wing owns this digital age of the podcasting and streaming content. And now she gets to have her other, straddle the other side of legacy media, which is now being taken over by those same people. And so, I look at what we're doing and everybody else, and there's not enough of us. There's not enough of us to counter this moment that we're living in, and not enough rich people, quite frankly, to throw money at it. I don't want to say
Bezos was a good rich guy for a while, so never count on a rich guy to rescue you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I want to, staying on the Erika Kirk thing, it's not just CBS, which we knew which way the wind was going to blow. I have given the New York Times a lot of latitude because the New York Times is family owned, and doesn't appear to have any interests outside of the New York Times. You've called it the broken times for a long time, Jeff, and I'm going to make you very happy today because I'm also happy to report, or maybe not so happy to report.
Yeah, we're both sad about it.
That Andrew Ross Sorkin who is runs the Deal Book over at the New York Times. He's a CNBC anchor. He is an elite whisperer. It's really the only way to put it. He's kind of walking Davos for
I met him at Davos. Yes.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yeah. I met him at my son's school because our kids go to school together.
Which is more, I'm not sure, but go ahead.
Yeah. But he held the New York Times Deal Book Annual Summit this week, and he had a lot of people there, and a lot of people. He had Gavin Newsom, he had Halle Berry talking about menopause, he had Bibi Netanyahu, who was begging for a pardon. Look, he had a lot of newsmakers there for a lot of good reasons. And I would not begrudge him if he had Gavin Newsom and say he also had a Republican governor there. But the big person on that stage was Erika Kirk. He interviewed Erika Kirk. And, she didn't take the stage as a curiosity, but as part of the main event. And
I have the clip, by the way, if you want.
I would love for you to actually play that clip because it's important to hear what you had to say.
Yep. Let me throw this up.
Make of Mamdani here in New York. And the reason I ask is he was somebody who really actually was able to persuade the younger voter. I mean, he really captured, but obviously on the complete opposite end, if you will, of where someone like Charlie would have been.
It's so interesting because I lived in Manhattan for a while and I loved this city. I'm going to come at this from a female voter because a high percentage of his voters were female. I think there's a tendency, especially when you live in a city like Manhattan, where, again, you are so career-driven and you almost look to the government as a form of replacement for certain things, relationship-wise even. So you see things a little bit differently. What I don't want to have happen is women, young women in the city, look to the government as a solution to put off having a family or a marriage because you're relying on the government to support you instead of being united with the husband where you can support yourself and your husband can support and you can guys all combine together. But I just find it so ironic and so interesting that a heavy percentage of the individuals that voted for him were female.
I'm not quite clear. I think what she's saying, Michelle, is that instead of finding a husband, young women found Zohran.
We found Zohran Mamdani.
Okay. Listen, here's the part that you didn't show. Is that Sorkin really had zero pushback. What he said was he kind of appeared befuddled and he changed the subject immediately by asking her about what J.D. Vance's chances were for winning the White House in 2028. So she just put out a whole bunch of inarticulate bullshit. Actually saying
inarticulate also. It wasn't even a well thought out.
But as a woman who lived in New York City and was single for a long time, I mean, I still live in New York City, but now I'm married. But when I was single in my single days living in New York, and you too, Michelle, you're also married, but also were single in New York for a while. I promise you that no politician, many of whom I worked for, ever replaced, finding some sort of emotional connection with some guy for me.
It's weird. It's like a weird thing to say.
It's a very weird thing to say. And Sorkin really had no pushback on it. But the part that I think is equally repulsive is that the New York Times did not note any of this in promoting her interview with the Deal Book Summit after she already gave this interview. So this is when they put it up on their website, knowing what she had said. This is how they characterized it. Erika Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, discusses her role leading Turning Point USA, the influential nonprofit he founded. Ms. Kirk also urged more dialogue to bridge political differences. Quote, "Can you imagine if AOC and Nancy Mace said, 'Let's go get Subway,'" she asked. Okay, that's not the takeaway from what she said, one. Two, I find it fascinating that she is being portrayed here as Erika Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, not somebody, I mean, she doesn't even pretend to be somebody in her own right, other than her husband. If I were, my husband has had a pretty storied career. I hope nobody would ever introduce me as Julie Roginski, comma, the wife of my husband, comma, right? Like maybe that, yeah, like maybe that's what Erika Kirk is advocating for here. Because she obviously wants to be independent of her husband. But the point is, even the New York Times is kind of trying to whitewash her and sanewash her as somebody who's like, oh, let's kumbaya together. Let's bring people together. Why don't Nancy Mace and AOC just go get Subway together? This is the same woman who has never repudiated anything that her husband said. Right?
No.
Let me just be very clear. He repeatedly trafficked in racist, xenophobic, and anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. He casually blamed Black people for crime. He called gender-affirming care akin to Nazis committing atrocities. He described the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 as a huge mistake. He said that Jews were cultural Marxists. He said that gun deaths are worth it and that some gun deaths every year is the cost of liberty. He said that Black people were better off under Jim Crow and that Black women do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. You have to go steal a white person's slot. He wanted 10-year-old girls to carry their babies to term if they were raped and demanded that Taylor Swift submit to her future husband. He also said, quote, if I see a Black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Why wasn't she asked about any of that since she is Erika Kirk, comma, Charlie Kirk's widow? Apparently she has to answer for him. That's her only qualification.
What's the amount of time after his murder that it's going to be acceptable? Because it's like people are so afraid to ask this blonde white woman about the things that she upholds. And it's because he was murdered. And like, again, like it's what is it going to be a year? Is it going to be 2 years? Is it going to be 10 years? Like when are people going to be courageous or responsible enough to do that? Because it seems like Andrew Ross Sorkin, just from watching him kind of like be visibly uncomfortable, it seems like he was afraid to ask her.
Why have her there? Why have her there?
Why ask her in the first place?
Yeah.
Why have her there in the first place? Is the first, as we used to call it, news judgment.
Right.
What's your rationale there? Second, this legitimization is spreading. So in my state of New Jersey, we now have Linda McMahon on a 50-state tour with Turning Point USA, going to the Cedar Drive Middle School
in Colts Neck, New Jersey. Yep.
Exactly. Taking Turning Point to children. Talk about grooming. The Hitler Jugend come along, and so when this is normalized at every quarter, even the New York effing Times, the hashtag Broken Times, this is the result. Is that now there's permission given for this white nationalist racist organization to go and propagandize children in schools without challenge. That's the result of the failure of mass media. And I sent Julie you earlier this week. Michelle, I don't have your email, otherwise I would send this to you too. I'm going to get this. The ridiculous fawning interview done in the New York Times with Joe Kahn, the editor of the New York Times. And the first question was, so some people want you to call Donald Trump a fascist, and some want you to call him a patriot. What is it, Joe? Well, we just do reporting here. That's all we do. That's what matters. That's our job. We just report. No, it means that you leave out the story. Yeah. Witness the report on Erika Kirk at their own event.
Right.
They leave out the story in terms of how they summarize it, in terms of what they choose not to explain, in terms of not understanding the implications of it. They're not doing journalism. They're doing disservice to both journalism and democracy.
And it's fascinating because the Times, had that stupid quote about her saying, boy, wouldn't it be wonderful if Nancy Mace and AOC got a Subway sandwich together?
Also like weird Subway of all the sandwiches.
My question is, Erika Kirk, if you went and got a Subway sandwich together with AOC, you'd just be lecturing her on why she chose to run for Congress in her 20s rather than pushing out kids.
Right.
So let's be very clear about what that conversation at Subway would entail. You lecturing her about her life choices.
Right.
And if she dared push back,
right,
she'd be woke.
Yeah, and no pushback. And Andrew Ross Sorkin moving on to Erika Kirk's second favorite topic, J.D. Vance, right? Oh, what do you think about his chances in 2028? Really?
That's coming.
That's your question? Your question is not, hey, you're here running Turning Point USA, where your husband, which is the only reason you're here, because you are married, were married to a man who was prominent, who got murdered. You are not here in your own right. By your own admission, you're not here in your own right.
And is not introduced as the CEO
of Turning, like, I mean, that's how the Times described her.
Right.
Erika Kirk, comma, widow of Charlie Kirk, comma. And so if that's the case, then why not ask her about whether she agrees with all of the things that Charlie Kirk has said?
Take the opportunity. I mean, it's journalistically, it's not hard. Your critics say, what would you like to say to them? I mean, there's ways you can ask that question.
Right.
That will get you in all kinds of hot water. I think you should ask it more directly than that, but not to ask it, not to address it at all is journalistic malfeasance. And then another guest sorry, go ahead.
No, well, just something to finish, just to say that the New York Times packages her as some sort of like, let's bring people together by all getting Subway sandwiches together. Like, that's not what this woman stands for.
AOC has better taste than that. She's going to go to a bodega and get a sandwich there, not to Subway.
Right. I was like, at least pick Jimmy John's. I mean, Subway.
Exactly.
Jersey Mike's.
Right.
Yeah. They also had Sorkin had also interviewed Alexander Karp, who's the power behind this throne. One of them, like Peter Thiel, Karp is the founder and head of Palantir, justifying what he's doing and acting. And he was presented as if he's had a change of heart about immigration, as if helping ICE is something new. And then his weird rationalization of saying that, no, it's favorable to be skeptical of immigrants. And that's what we should be doing. This, again, is normalized from the movement that is taking over the country. It's not just media. It's not just politics. It's democracy. I'm in Europe right now. I'm in Austria. And I spoke at the Europäischen Mediengipfel, the European Media Summit yesterday. And I was asked straight out, is American a democracy right now? And I said no. And it was kind of like, come on, justify that. And I said, the Supreme Court is bought and sold. Congress is bought and sold and worthless.
Yep.
The White House, we know. Various state governments as well. And our media is not standing up to defend democracy against that. Yes, right now we don't have a democracy. Can it be rescued? Maybe. Maybe it's not too late. That's why we all have to scream, and that's why media have to cover what's actually happening and not doing what you just quoted, Julie, of literally whitewashing a racist movement.
That's what this is. That is what this movement is. I mean, it's just incredible to me that the New York Times is going out of their way. I mean, she said what she said. She's not embarrassed about it. But they're embarrassed about it, so they decided to whitewash it.
All right, Joey, here's the requirement, though. Next, you write about that on the socials. I require you to use the hashtag Broken Times, just for solidarity here.
I will absolutely write the hashtag Broken Times. It's crazy. It's insane. I mean, it is just such a missed opportunity. But of course, because she suffered this tragedy,
right? Everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid of being Matthew Dowd. Everyone is afraid of saying the truth and losing their jobs still.
Yep.
And even after everything. And this is where I bring up again, I got to a point after all of this where Matthew Dowd was getting fired and people were losing their jobs for literally just saying Charlie Kirk was a racist, which he was. That's not, I mean, that's just fundamentally just a fact. That at the Seneca Project, where I'm a co-founder and I run creative there, I put together a 7-minute video of receipts of all of those things that Julie just listed off. And without any editorial, anything, I didn't put any supers or text or anything on screen. I just let him speak for himself for 7 minutes straight. And people wrote me and wrote my organization thanking me for this. Thank you. Why isn't the media doing this? Why isn't the media doing this? I sent this to so-and-so. This video got millions of views. Jennifer Welch at I've Had It played it on her podcast, the entire 7 minutes of it. A lot of people did that because it was the first time that anyone had put anything like that together. And it's like people are afraid to just show the truth, and I don't understand. And I and this is where I have to ask, because I don't think that this has happened. Has Erika Kirk faced any interview situation that has been tough
Nope.
or not?
Let me ask it another way. Let me turn the question around a little bit, Michelle, because I think it's a really good point. Who was in a better position to ask that question of Erika Kirk? Who is less afraid of being fired because he's worth a fortune to them than Andrew Ross Sorkin?
Right.
100%.
He would not be fired by the New York Times. He would not be fired by CNBC. I'm an old man, and he's getting older. And the best way to use this privilege
Yeah.
I then have that has been invested in me for no rights of anything that I've ever done is to make that risk that you did.
Yeah.
And Andrew Ross Sorkin was in a position to ask it. He had her on stage. He's invulnerable to being fired. He's a journalist at the New York Times. He could have asked.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just incredible. And speaking of the wreck of journalism, why don't we move on to our favorite weekly topic, the Olivia Nuzzi,
Oh God.
Brian Liza.
You need a theme song for this. You need a little ditty to go
I
in.
need to like resurrect like The Young and the Restless, or like theme song. Dun, dun,
Yeah, whatever All My Children theme song used to be.
dun, 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 dun. Sorry.
Yeah, but what her book came out this week. It got
Oh, it did. It's out.
It's
Oh,
out.
yeah.
It got
Wow.
panned. It got panned by.
I recommend Becca Rothfeld in the Washington Post, who's one of my favorite. So Washington Post, which I slam lost. Becca Rothfeld, the Washington Post, is my favorite critic, a nonfiction critic, and she with a velvet shiv.
So, it just got.
Yeah.
I think the kindest thing they said was Joan Didion wannabe, but that used to be an insult to Joan Didion.
I was going to say poor Joan Didion.
Yeah, she's been through enough.
Right.
But she put out this kind of, I didn't read it and I have no intention of reading it, weirdo, non-really defense of herself. Her lawyer has said she just had an inappropriate relationship with one politician she was covering. So, she should be forgiven. I guess the Mark Sanford thing went unaddressed. That would be two, but even if it's one, I think it's one too many. And what is interesting about all this is that Vanity Fair has still not gotten rid of her, and they seem to be wanting to ride it out. I guess her contract is up in the next month or so. And but Jeff, my question is, did Olivia Nuzzi just get everything she wanted? She has now become a celebrity.
She's
living in LA. She's kind of put herself in and I don't mean to insult Monica Lewinsky here, because I think Monica Lewinsky is fantastic, but she's kind of put herself, she invoked Monica Lewinsky. She said, Monica Lewinsky reached out to me to see if I'm okay. So I think what she's trying to do is she's trying to become the person that Monica Lewinsky is, which is somebody who is
she's not
revisited. Yeah. She's not at all. Monica Lewinsky was a 23-year-old
victim.
Yeah. Olivia Nuzzi was not a victim of anything. She's in the right place for this reinvention, which is she's out in LA trying to be invited. And I'm sure she wanted to get invited to the Vanity Fair, Oscar party. So did she in some ways, despite all this, get where she's kind of jumped to a different level now? She's not in politics. She's if politics is Hollywood for ugly people, she's now in real Hollywood.
I think it's the right question and a really good question. In a way, she got everything she wanted, but in a way, she didn't. She wanted to be taken seriously.
Yeah, she never was
a political journalist who was a kingmaker and a king breaker, and she broke Joe Biden, and she helped make. Obviously, now we know more and more how RFK Jr. and Donald Trump too.
Yeah.
And so she didn't get that wish list. She got a different wish list. She's going to be, mark my words, I'll do the long bet right now. She's going to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh God.
Right? She's gone into Tawdryville, and she's already given up any pride she had, and any claim to talent that she even legitimately had, she is now a celebrity punchline.
Yeah.
And she's going to exploit it. She is exploiting it right now, and she's exploiting it to good end. But she's had collateral damage along the way. Two ways, right? One is the damage to journalism, and we'll get to Ryan Lizza and what further he's revealed in a second. But obviously, far more important is the damage to people's lives by RFK Jr. being in the position that he's in with her help.
Mm-hmm.
With her help to make that endorsement happen, to I don't even want to say sanitize him because he doesn't help to be clean in the Trump world, but to Trumpize him, and get him in that position. And people are going to die.
No, I don't know if this is too much to say, but I mean, I've privately been saying that. I was like, there's blood on her hands. I mean, and I don't know if that's too far to go here, but like, I mean, she had a hand in this, and so therefore, it's like she is. I mean, in my eyes, in my point of view, is partially responsible for this.
And nobody's asking her that question. She's done a couple of interviews. She did an interview with Feed Me with Emily Sundberg. I don't think Emily Sundberg asked her that question. And Tim Miller, who generally I think does good work, did not ask her that question either, and had a very sympathetic interview with her.
Yeah,
I get that they're friendly, and I get that everybody's got personal relationships. But the question that I would have if she were ever to appear on this show, for instance, is what do you, like, to exactly to your point, what do you make of your role?
Yeah.
In promoting somebody who now is literally causing death. And that's disputable. And these are not new positions.
No.
He has held since she did that. We knew what he was going to do. He has said it. He told us. And it didn't matter because she had this crazy obsession with him. I'm not going to judge who people find attractive, who they fall in love with. That is entirely her prerogative. And if she found RFK was some man,
understand, but go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, listen, if that was the guy for her, then good for. I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, I
mean, listen, if she found his
but
irresistible, that's
that's
one for everyone.
There's a but what I do have questions about, because it affects my life and your life and your life and the lives of future generations, because now they're not giving kids the Hep B vaccine. So this is going to affect generations of children.
Yes.
What do you make of your role in that?
And Ryan Lizza has only revealed more about her not just complicity, but her active role in what she did in this whole thing. And let's also hold him accountable. He knew. What did he know? What did he know? What did he know it? He knew stuff at times as a journalist that he could have and should have revealed, but he too did not. And then back to Vanity Fair. Yeah, her contract's out this month, so letting it ride is the easy way out. Even if it was 2 days left on the contract, to say we're going to end the contract would have at least made a statement. For what Condé Nast might still stand for, and Vanity Fair might still stand for, and so far. They're not. Clock is a ticking.
Yeah.
Roger Lynch and Anna Wintour. And why do people not trust us? Because these are our colleagues, and we as a group, we're gossiping about them, and there's a lot of gossip about them. Have we seen an editorial in the New York Times or the Washington Post or anywhere decrying this as journalism? Distancing themselves from this as journalism. New York Magazine doing a cover story, mea culpa, here's how we screwed up, here's how we screwed people's lives by employing her and doing this. No, we don't. And
in this broken society that we live in, that will, I mean, I keep coming back to Jeff, you saying she's going to be on Dancing with the Stars. And I groaned, but you're right. And I'm thinking about, Anna Delvey. Okay. Anna Delvey, who is the Russian-born, notorious, now famous con artist who conned all these upper crust, rich, Upper East Side people of millions and millions of dollars, went to jail, glorified her ankle bracelet. They made a Netflix series about her. And why is it now that I'm going on my Instagram and seeing well-known political media people posing at parties with Anna Delvey and smiling and cheersing with their, why, like, it is the Anna Delvey vacation of all of this too. It's like we celebrate this stuff now. It's almost funny. It's cute. And so you look at somebody like Olivia Nuzzi now, who, you know, unfortunately, to your point, also wanted to be taken seriously. She never will be again. So now she's going to be the Anna Delvey in this situation, and she will be a punchline, but she will get invited to the parties. She will be, you know, walk the carpet with everybody else, maybe in a different light, but she will be there. And she'll be included in this, and you know, it's just another entrance into this world that she'll be walking through.
I disagree with I agree with everything you said except for one thing. I think she will be taken seriously again, because I think to be taken seriously in our society now is to be invited to these parties, is to be part of the conversation. It is to be a celebrity, and that is why Donald Trump became president.
Celebrity Apprentice. Yeah, she would be on the Celebrity Apprentice if that was still on air.
So, right. And so she is a celebrity, and that is the most important thing you could be in society right now. And she's a celebrity bigger than any celebrity she could have been if she had to write for New York Magazine.
So
people know her name, never heard her before.
Sorry about that. Distance on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Holiday Wi-Fi. I don't mean to interrupt. As you're talking, I flashed on something else besides Dancing with the Stars, which is Barry Weiss trying to sanitize the reputation of Olivia Nuzzi. No reason to predict this or go on, but it wouldn't be surprising right now to say, she's just the kind of person. They hate her.
Yeah.
They, the liberals, they, the journalists. So let's embrace her in her victimhood.
Yeah.
And she stood by RFK, and that's what a loyal mistress should do, even if virtual. I think you're right too, Julie. I think the definition of serious changed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the press corps now that's at the Pentagon, right? It's the same thing. Now I'm looking, I have these screenshots here. I was, as you were saying that, I was reminded of, like, see, they, you know, the liberals hate them, the smart people hate them. And this is the new press corps. Cam Higbee, okay? Because journalism degrees are useless and needlessly expensive. I just proved it with pictures, you know, at the podium here. Let's see. Vince Dow saying, proud to announce that I'm now an official member of the Pentagon Press Corps. I'm told that this room used to belong to outlets like CNN, but no one has ever heard of them. I mean,
Matt Gaetz.
This guy, another one, Cam Higg. You can criticize me for not having a journalism degree, but what does it say about the folks with degrees that I replaced them at the Pentagon? Like, this is it's owning the libs by being a complete moron. And like, again, it's like the thing that unifies all of this is, like, see the smart people that, you know, the ones in the smart people who have ethics and care about things like this. They're mad. So therefore we must be doing something right. And that's just, you know, it's government, it's media, it's everything. It's everything. And Hegseth too. I mean, during that ridiculous Celebrity Apprentice Hunger Games cabinet meeting the other day, Pete Hegseth, talking about the fog of war, attacks journalists, saying that, you know, you don't understand. If you don't mind, I'm going to play that clip. Because again, the journalists not sticking up for each other in this room and others.
From Santa. Those are not Christmas gifts from Santa. This is drugs running on four-motor fast boats or submarines that we've also struck. No one's fishing on a submarine. And I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that, a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do. And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And he was the right call. We have his back. And the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes.
Where to begin?
This might seem off topic, but it's what's on my mind, so I'll do it. I'm here in Europe. I'm at a meeting of media people in Austria. It's a wonderful little place. It's kind of it has its problems with the FPÖ, the right-wing party could come back in power, but they're highly conscious of it. They're conscious of being on the edge of war, Ukraine and Russia. And they stand together as an institution of journalistic institution here. They're small and they know they have to collaborate. And there's a lot of talk about that. I learned this week. Because I'm working on a book on the death of mass media, I wanted to go to some scenes like this. And so I thought, I'm going to go to the convention of the American Society of Newspaper Editors, where surely they're grappling with all of this. It had merged with the Associated Press Managing Editors Association. It doesn't exist. It folded. It's gone. And so where is the organ where the leaders of American journalism might just get together and talk about how that was covered, and talk about Erika Kirk under the umbrella of the New York Times, and talk about the press coverage of the Pentagon, and talk about Olivia Nuzzi too, and talk about what journalism stands for. It's gone. Because the editors who were there are employed by hedge funds, because they had no money left, because they don't, well, I'm not gonna say they don't care, but they couldn't keep it together for a Zoom call. To maybe once in a while stand up for standards of truth in this country? No.
It's you make an interesting point, because when everything is so balkanized is not even the word, but diffuse, I guess. And you have the rise of independent media. And there are people who are real journalists doing some pretty incredible work on independent media, but without any kind of editor, right? They're doing it by themselves.
Right. Or lawyers or resources.
Yeah.
Right. They're just people who decided they were going to do this themselves. And there are a lot more people providing analysis, like I do, for example, on Substack, than there are people who are actually doing independent and investigatory work, which is so deeply critical. What I find fascinating about where media, and they're still doing it, what I find so fascinating about mass media, and especially corporate media as it stands today, and I don't know if it's ideological so much as it is just standard operating procedure now. But I was on MSNBC, MS Now.
That's the first time I've heard somebody break.
Yeah. And the topic came up because I insisted on it. They asked me what I wanted to talk about. And I said, among the other things I want to talk about is I really want to talk about this Witkoff-Kushner meeting in Moscow. Because to me, it's very apparent, as somebody's kind of an expert in this, that this was if you know who was sitting across the table from them on the Russian side, it was not the foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov. It wasn't anybody of that stature. It was a guy named Kirill Dmitriev, who's Putin's wallet. He's Putin's bagman. In the same way that Kushner and Witkoff are Trump's wallet and bagman, in that Witkoff's son runs the crypto fund that the Trump family has a vast majority of their wealth tied up in now. Kushner, of course, runs his own private equity fund. And I said, this is the biggest scandal in in our foreign policy. Like I could not envision a bigger scandal that we've had. Truly, it is the biggest scandal and the biggest disgrace in this country since slavery. We are literally selling off our allies. We are selling off certainly Ukraine, but also NATO, and we're selling off Taiwan, which of course the Chinese will get the message. We're reordering the world right now because of what is happening right now, and over Moscow. And I said, and the fact that it's all happening in the open is why the media is not covering it, because there's nothing to investigate. It's just there. And the answer came back, and it was Ali Vitali who was anchoring, and she's wonderful. So I don't want to. I don't want to put this on her, but her answer was, and she's not wrong, we have a lot of stuff to focus on. We just have. I said, why is this on the front page of the New York Times every day? And she said, I guess speaking for the media, have a lot of stuff we have to focus on. And she's right.
Yeah, but
she's right. But this is a major scandal of epic proportions, and truly our foreign policy is being sold to whoever is giving Trump Inc. money. And, what is so fascinating to me is that the New York Times is not covering this because, and the New York Washington Post, for different reasons, maybe is not covering this, but people and companies and organizations, the AP, who have the resources to do this, are not doing this because it is so out in the open that they're not going to win their Pulitzer for investigative journalism because there's nothing to investigate. It's all on a silver platter given to you.
Right.
That's what makes that's what I think is so disappointing about the moment that we're living in right now with mass media.
That's such a good point, Julie. It
really is. So I woke up this morning 6 hours ahead of you all.
Right.
And the Guardian lead story was the Supreme Court on speed dial approving the Texas gerrymandering.
Of course.
Unless I missed it because it changes, I did not see it leading the New York Times.
It's in there. It's not,
I'm scrolling through now trying to find it.
Yeah.
And this is an attack on our democracy and our voting rights at the highest level. It's a loss that can't be regained. And where is it? Because they're ignoring the Italian rendition of fascism, which is what you described, Julie, of business taking over the government.
Mm-hmm.
They're ignoring the German definition of fascism, which is taking over the democracy and ruining the democracy. And that's bad news judgment. That's, as we like to call it in our haughty way, that's not journalism.
Yeah.
It's not serving the democracy. It's helping the democracy fall down. And so another depressing Friday.
So on that note, Mrs. Lincoln, how is the play? Well, Jeff, you have been so wonderful to take time away from a beautiful, beautiful location in the Tyrol where you are to talk to us. So thank you so much again.
My pleasure. I wouldn't miss it.
We love this. We were just talking about how this is like your favorite show of the week. It's just so great. So thank you. And we will see you hopefully next Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern again. Hopefully we'll have good travels back and report back. Tell the Europeans we're trying to hold down the fort here.
Yeah.
We're doing our best to push back. It's getting harder and harder.
But they're our last hope.
Yeah, we are our last hope. It is really, it's just, I feel very much like we are in the late 1930s here, trying to hold back the tide, but we will try to do our best here to do that.
Yeah.
And on that note, I hope everybody watching has a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all next week. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.